What if the snack you've been told is really good for your heart is actually damaging it? And what about those crunchy handfuls, those nuts that's praised by doctors and approved by keto plans and labeled as hearty? What if they actually feeling inflammation and they raising bad cholesterol or they even impairing your memory? And this is not a scare tactic, it's science. Today we'll be going through what the good nuts are and what the bad nuts are for your health. But before that, let me tell you a story. I had this 68-year-old lady that used to come to my clinic and she was eating clean nuts every day. No sugar, good fats. But still she was feeling tired. She had stiff joints and there was general inflammation. Even her cholesterol was creeping up. And we couldn't understand why. That is, until we had a look at the snack drawer and she was overdoing it on the wrong nuts. Now, certain nuts, while natural and nutritious for some, can quietly be sabotaging the health of older adults, especially over time. So, in this video, we'll uncover and unpack 4 nuts that you should avoid as a senior and 4 of the best nuts that you should take as you age. Now, one of the hidden compounds in one of those nuts could actually even be harming your brain and liver without you knowing about it. So, let's start. Number 4 on the bad list, peanuts. This is an inflammatory trigger nut. Yes, they are in lunchboxes, mixed trails, protein bars, but peanuts, they're not even nuts. They're actually legumes. And they come with 3 major problems. They're prone to mold toxins called aflatoxins, which is linked to liver damage and even cancer. And they contain inflammatory proteins that can worsen arthritis, and even without peanut energy, that can be a problem. They also loaded with omega-6 fats, which can throw off your fat balance, and it can further flame inflammation. If you take blood thinners like Warren, the vitamin K in peanuts can actually interfere with your medication. And if you love peanut butter, consider that commercial brands adds a lot of sugar, as well as oils and salt. And that's going to further raise problems with blood pressure and heart issues. Try and swap it out rather for almond butter. It's much lower in terms of inflammation and much better fat. Cashews is next. They are a problem with blood sugar. And for most seniors, diabetes and high carbs, that can be a problem. Even if you're pre-diabetic, that sugar and that spike in sugar is going to become a problem. They're also rich in oxalates, which can block calcium, and it can raise the risks for osteoporosis as well as kidney stones. They also contain enzyme inhibitors that can make it harder to digest proteins, and that's going to be a problem, as protein already is a compound that we need more of as we get older. So you might want to consider swapping these for walnuts instead. They're much better in terms of protecting you in terms of sugar and sugar highs. The next one is macadamia nuts. Now they're caloric bombs, very dense, and they contain about 200 calories per ounce. So they loaded as well in saturated fats which might overwhelm an aging gallbladder. So they can also be dangerous for crowns and implants as they are quite hard, and they can crack a filling. They're also prone to rancidity, especially in cheap patches, creating free radicals that can accelerate aging. So studies on hot healthy nuts actually exclude macadamia, and that's probably for a reason. So you can swap them out for pistachios. That's going to be much better on your teeth and also on your heart. Number 1 that you want to avoid is pine nuts. Now, pine nuts interferes with many medications, as much as 60% of common prescription medications that can be from statins to antidepressants. And they can also trigger something called pine mouth syndrome, which is like a metallic taste you get in your mouth can last for weeks, that can really disrupt your appetite. And that can lead to quite a bit of weight loss, which is certainly not something you want at an old age. There's also vision risks. There's some emerging studies that link pine nuts to acceleration of macular degeneration. So if you still want to sprinkle them over salads, maybe it's time to rethink that. You can try and swap them out for something like pumpkin seeds. That would be still nice and crunchy without any of those problems. Now, good nuts to eat. In number 4 we have almonds. They're very good for bones. They're a bone builder. They're rich in calcium and magnesium. So not just building the bones itself, but also transporters, making sure that the calcium goes into the bones and not the arteries. Vitamin E and flavonoids as well, rich in those very powerful anti-aging combos that fights cognitive decline. They also have fiber, and that's going to support digestion and prevent things like constipation, which is a problem in older age. Try and go raw with it and avoid any salt. So number 3 we have is walnuts. The walnuts is a brain nut, and not surprising, but nature made it look like brains, not by accident maybe. And they packed with ALA omega-3s that's good for memory and cognition. Also, melatonin that helps with sleep cycle polyphenols that cross the blood-brain barrier and that can reduce inflammation and possibly even slow down Alzheimer's as a bonus. So even cracking them open, it can increase and help with dexterity and focus and strength. Number 2, pistachios. They're really good for your heart. They contain quite a bit of potassium, more than bananas. Helps regulate blood pressure, and they're rich in nutrients that protect your eyesight. We do encourage mindful eating, and shelling them slows down reducing calorie intake, and they soften the teeth as well and pretty delicious. So very good snack for seniors. Number 1, Brazil nuts. They are thyroid helpers. Just 1 Brazil nut a day contains enough selenium to support your thyroid and thyroid health, and that's a major concern for older adults. It also helps with mood, energy, and hormone balances. It also helps with brain signaling and nerve protection. You just want to donate too much of them to get selenium toxicity, but you'll need quite a bit. But stick to just 1 or 2 per day. It's a bit like nature's prescription pill specifically for your thyroid. What about your snack drawer? Maybe you want to try and swap out some of those nuts for the more favorable ones. I have another video up here regarding brain rejuvenation and brain cell growth, which is very interesting. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And with that, have a wonderful day.